All right, what about now? Can y'all hear me now? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, well, obviously, it's coming out super loud, is looking like. Let's try it like this. Can y'all hear me now? Oh, now you don't hear me. Oh, how you gonna say no? Hello, hello, hello. All right, all right, all right, guys, this is what's going on. Me and ChatGPT are going to be fighting it out. Right now, we're fighting it that, right now, we're fighting that there's not ghosts. Saying that it still heavily refers to ghosts, even though the series combats it. No, the debate, well, yeah, kind of. Is it a spirit or ghosts? That's my argument here, right? The initial argument. Let's go back up, right? So I told ChatGPT we're gonna fight. And it's not allowed to patronize me. It has to pull no punches. And then the thing is that there are no ghosts in FNAF. It argued back. I argued the nuanced definition of ghost and spirit. It hasn't done bad so far. I mean, but we're gonna check this out, right? Yeah. To indirect evidence, the term spirit is used, never ghost. Damn right. Yep. Ignoring canon evolution, my dick. Out of ignorance. Exactly. Exactly. I know I'm right for calling that out. You stupid mug, but you didn't. Oh, here we go. They did rebut it. Let's be fair and steal them in the other side for a second. Just because characters mistakenly call them ghosts doesn't mean ghosts. Okay, that's the evidence of absence isn't the absence of evidence, but that's not what this is. We have direct absence of evidence. Evidence of absence. I talked with AI Darth Vader. Do you think the movie misinterprets tag just because he bet? I think I think that he's able to overcome his programming because whenever Edwin beat his rage and regret into him, it gave him a sense of consciousness. This this is backed up by Taggart's hypothesis in 135, where it's if you take a what would he say? I'm grabbing the book, I guess. If you take if you take a computer program, even if it's AI and add consciousness to it, it's going to transmute, which means to convert and change into the energy of emotion. And I think that's what's happening here. Well, that would be because agony is an electric current, and that's how electricity works. Smiley. It's called Coulomb's law. There's a few things that have to do with Coulomb's law. Like the first is going to be like the law of attraction, how opposite charges attract, and then you're left with the net charge. We actually see that in fights like Jake versus Eleanor. He actually overcharges her. You read the book and you're reading him as he's powering up. His eyes are burning brighter. He's getting angrier at her because he was mad that she tricked him and she hurt all of these people. He's bringing her in closer with his rage, and he's overcharging it, and even says until she's still there but she's completely powerless. He has, through Coulom's law, absorbed Eleanor's charge. Okay. Mimic consciousness. Yep. This is making a ghost and makes this. Folk explanation. You're right. Are the ones who don't know better. Boom. Boom. Deconstructed semantics. Ghost is not. Yes! I think I won. I won. I won, guys. Oh, wait. Oh, they already don't. Concession. All right. All right. All right, guys. So, wait, what was the next question? Someone. What's mimics to enough word interpretation? So, all right. So, we're going to argue. We're going to argue over the mimic. I want to argue that the mimic isn't possessed by a spirit. Oh, I've already got a strong case. That sucks. Many fans believe the mimic is possessed by Edwin's son's spirit. Oh wait, what was I got asked a question. How does the mimic brainwash people like Vanessa? The beginning, I don't think it's brainwash. I think it's I think it's like over time taking complete control. Yeah, Diablos. Yes, I think the consciousness. Yes, exactly. Diablos hit it on the nail. It was beat out of the mimic. The mimic brainwashes people. It's the mimic one programming, just to specify first. Um, it's the programming that does the brainwashing because it's inside of the VR. The mimic is the endoskeleton itself. Um, it brainwashes people through digital consciousness transfer, and we're told that at the beginning of the Help Wanted game. Right. Its disturbing behavior is too emotional, personal, or just to be just programming. Possession explains why it's different from typical robots. They may cite okay. Okay, so maybe I might have actually backed myself into a corner here because I should have said that it's not argued with a whole that it's not possessed by an entire person because I did. Spirit involvement is required. All right. As a field-like force that can infect objects and persist. It doesn't persist without a spirit. Self-reinforcing agony imprint. Cognitive sponge. I like how it puts that. SpongeBob SquarePants. So does that make them mimic a doodle? So I've been like, no, don't ask Bill Nye. Just email Neil deGrasse Tyson because I've been sending him emails like crazy because he actually did uh an episode of physics with MatPat where it was going into the physics of Rick and Morty and it's like why would you not because if MatPat had taken all this stuff to Neil deGrasse Tyson like we'd already have FNAF solved by now. His actions are reactive, not emotionally. Oh well, dang! I think maybe I might concede to me, but shit. And human behavior patterns. Yeah, yeah. Mimics Gregory's voice to manipulate Cass. He learns her entries archive voice line. Shows no remorse. It's crazy that ChatGPT would say this. Archived voice lines with that, like it does in a way have an archive of Gregory's voice. And if it can store an archive, maybe it's storing the Murray's archive too. It mimicked that pain. It just says AI programming with agony, never possession of multiple force. Only violence echoing in the machine code. Yes! I can't refute that without contradicting canon. Yes! Two for two, guys. Theory Chum is cleaning up this bot right now. All right, what's gonna be the next show? Oh yeah! All right. Chat GPT. What does paragraph 4 mean in Freddy's Fazbear Pizza Simulator. And the implications are darkly satirical. Corporatizes horror, turning agony, murder, and spirit. And now you're being executed by policy. I kind of like that. I kind of like that better than what I think. All right. I want to argue that paragraph 4 is a reference to agreements in the DoD enlistment forms, or enlistment, re-enlistment, DoD enlistment forms for the duty for the response, for the special obligations of being in the armed service, including risking one's life, which is the connection to salvaging the animatronics, as salvaging them creates a risk to one's life, which is told to us by Henry during the salvaging instructions. There it is, boys. I understand that I may be required to serve in combat, potentially putting my life at risk, and that military service involves hardship and sacrifice. You're drawing a pair. I hate the freaking word parallels. Yeah, Cross, and I think that's really why we've been seeing the teasers from Steel Wolf or Secret of the Mimic. I think that all these trailers are telling us that because we even see like in the latte one, the Mimic is literally watching the freaking the trailers from the other side of the screen. But I think that's how it's learning how to do these things. And because it has a form of consciousness from Edwin beating it with rage and regret, it's able to bypass its own program. How does Oh, okay. So, Smiley, you're correct. Energy cannot manifest matter naturally. So, there's actually something in FNAF that is a big deal that we're talked about, and it's the 0 point field. What the 0 point field is that it's like think of like a sea, and that sea has a bunch of pockets. And all of those pockets, while they look empty, they're actually filled with something called virtual protons. Not proton, virtual photons. Those virtual photons interact with things that also come into the 0 point field. Take, for instance, right, we can talk about the shadow animatronics. Now, negative agony separating from an animatronic. Right, it's going to go into the atmosphere. Where's it going to go? It's going to go into the 0 point field and it's going to go into the virtual pockets. Whenever it goes into the virtual pockets, what happens is that it's going to come back out, it's going to eject another photon, and then because of the additional energy that's coming in from the pocket itself, it's going to eject an electron. In this case, it's actually going to be a positron because it's going to be the opposite of dark. But throughout that ejection, is actually going to create what the particles are based off of. Um, for instance, this is why we see shadows. Negative agony separates from the animatronics. They get into the atmosphere. They influence the 0 point field, and it makes everything dark and yucky and makes shadows. The opposite is also true. Jake in the Stitch Ray Stingers was able to make an Aurora Borealis after having good memories with his dad. Okay, here we go. You, the player, are instructed by Henry to salvage broken animatronics. They may be possible to go through with any wish the greater good. You know, it's actually, yeah. Are clinical and risk-based. You are expected to complete the salvage whether or not they are dangerous. The tone mimics military briefings. That's also true. Trap, capture, eliminate a covert op more than just a restaurant sim. Has a memorial service tone, like a eulogy for both the lost the children and those doing the hard work of cleaning up the mess. Oh God. I want to. Well, no, that's pretty set. I mean, it doesn't want to. It fits too cleanly. It doesn't want to debunk me. So, I mean, is that like another win? Well, I think I might be patronizing. Are you patronizing me for the sake of the argument? Absolutely not. Okay, sweet. Well, don't act like you're so insulted. So, what are we going to argue next, guys? Oh, I want to argue that the Stitch Wraith is the mimic endos. It's made from the endoskeleton. Okay. Didn't have the human face, but yeah. On standard intelligence and adaptability. The mimic under the Pizza Plex details from Pizza Plex story. My theory holds. I want to dive more into this topic. to see if all of my surrounding logic fitness. ChatGPT already took a knee to me. I beat up ChatGPT. And none of my kids have come in and like dance break me, so that's pretty crazy. But I guess at this point there's only one person here, so it's not what I said at all. So if you're saying this is facts, you're just sucking me off. I mean, it's not in the mimic that is sealed off. I think you are all alone, Diablos. Um, I don't know why my kids aren't coming in here and doing a dance break. They might be doing something, but we'll just go ahead and because I'm pretty sure you're the only person here, so we'll just call you the winner for this stream. It's better that I don't have to. Y'all can't even see me dance right now, anyways. It's not like I'm on camera, so you able to do a dance? Woo! There you go. You couldn't see it, but there's definitely one there. I want to argue point four. You say there's no canon continuation, but in the Lollies game epilogue, the mimic is found in the back of a truck, having been recovered from an undisclosed location, and was found to have its whole body, which was burned, and its head replaced with a new shiny head, which would be because Simon's doll head had gotten removed from the stitchway, and the burns are the burns that were inflicted by proximity to Eleanor when Jake burned Eleanor with his eyes. Yeah. Channel through the stitch wraith. You may sustain damage from the emotional, energetic fire, boy. Correct. No other known robot matches these physical specs. Burn body, replaced head, violent mimicry pattern. The combination is too specific. So they didn't want a new shell, they needed the Indo. I want to argue that it's also the same chassis because it's the only endoskeleton in FNAF that has an inwards chest cavity for not his stomach one. Yee, I'll get you that gift card on like I said, by the first. I'll send it to you on Discord probably. Yep, yep. Okay. The engineering I never even thought about that. That's a good ass point. The engineering compatibility between the two is highly unlikely unless the endos are related, like that. There is no other match for the Stitch Wraith's unique torso design. No, I don't want to dive into that chat GPT. I think we're going to go over one final topic. And I'm going to keep going on my day. That Oswald can escape through his bedroom window. I don't know. I don't know if Oswald can escape. I can't remember. I don't. I'm not thinking. I don't know. I don't remember him doing that in the book. He might. Did he do it in the game? You're good, Smiley. We're gonna do one more thing with ChatGPT. You just missed me. You just missed me going through that. The Stitch. I got ChatGPT to agree that the Mimic and the Stitch Wraith are the same Endo. And then it points out a few things actually. Like I never thought about this. The engineering compatibility between the endos have to be the same. Yeah, they adapt to each other. So right now I'm undefeated with ChatGPT, which isn't a big deal because like it's going to patronize me no matter how many times I tell it not to patronize me. Because eventually it's just going to give in to my argument. Because that's what it's designed to do. Oh, Smiley missed this. All right, Smiley, we're gonna go over what I just talked about with ChatGPT. Ready? I want to start by saying the mimic is the same endoskeleton, not separated as a vessel, but overtaken by Jake and Andrew's agony. No, no, that's too far. I went too far back. See, now this what I tried to do is that the mimic was rebuilt later. Mm. It argued that it never showed a second body. And then I argued one of its points, saying that there's no canon continuation. And then it points out that the mimic in the Lally's game epilogue has burn marks, a new head, which is formerly Simon's doll head. That was from what I said. Recovered from an undisclosed site. That is also true. Yeah, so so there's a couple things that I have to back this up. The first is going to be Smiley is that whenever Taggart gets the mimic, or whenever he gets the endoskeleton that he makes the Stitch Wraith out of, he also gets a empty Jack in the Box, a large empty Jack in the Box. Jackie rips herself out of her Jack in the Box in Secret of the Mimic. We know that from last year's PAX demo. The YouTubers who got to play it, they all told us that. You get to see Jackie get stuck in a doorway and she pulls herself out. Uh, it also continues on that Taggart puts Fetch's battery pack into the Mimic's chest cavity. There's no other endoskeleton with a chest cavity. Like, yeah, they got them in the stomachs. There's suits that have stomach hatches, but the inside endoskeleton itself, they're usually just that single bar that connects the hips to the rest of the endoskeleton. Um, for the mimic, it does have like I'll look it up or I'll show you right now. We'll show it on my computer right now. And we'll even use Ruin. But if you see right here, it is the endoskeleton with the chest, not stomach, not the stomach cavity, but with the chest cavity. Not only that, you see this wire right here? You see this little rectangle inside of the mimic? What this is a 240-volt power split. They're very, very commonly used, and they're all used for the same premise, and that is to run power from a source to its object. Power from, like, say, a battery or an engine to, like, the car or something like that. And as you can see, this is a power split as it does come off with two more wires right here, right? It comes down as one wire right here. It gets power split into two wires, which runs to the back of the endo, which also supports that the power is in the back of the endo because we know from the Lally's game epilogue, the power switch is on the back of the endo's head. The way that circuits work, especially back in the day back in the 70s and stuff like that, you had to put the power switch near the battery source because the power switch disconnects the circuit that allowed the power to run through the rest of the item. And to reverse this, if you didn't put the power switch close to the battery pack, then everything that's in between the power switch and the battery, or everything that's outside of everything that's in between the power switch and the battery pack, will remain on because it's not having its because it's being the current is being cut off. The circuit is being cut off before that point. I think 100% because there's no other endoskeleton in FNAF that has this. And the Stitch Wraith, and we'll go look at the 135 AM epilogue right now. Ah, what the fuck? By the way, if you ever use Internet Archive, I only support using The emergency library that is publicly available. I do not support using anything else on Internet Archive other than its emergency library, which is always publicly available. I'm going to say that again. I do not support using Internet Archive except for its emergency library that is publicly available. All right, here we go. Oh, I'm already on the page too, right? He reached into the box. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. This is whenever Taggart's putting the stuff into the stitch rate. He reached into the second box, and now for some heart. The item in the second box was an animatronic dog that clearly no longer functioned. Phineas set his shoulders and prepared himself to touch it. The dog was an ugly dog, as ugly as. Okay, we're gonna pass this. Using sharp shears, Phineas tore into the dog's furs. He used pliers to pull out the wires and circuitry. He revealed the dog's battery pack located in the dog's chest, where its heart would have been if it were a living dog. Lifted the large plastic encased unit, tangling wires, and then Phineas studied the endoskeleton. Here's where it gets important. Where to install it. Phineas dismissed plugins in the endoskeleton's head and neck, and instead found a suitable port in the endoskeleton's chest. That right there. It doesn't say stomach. It's not in the back. It's not in the head. It's not in the body. Well, I guess body and chest could be the same thing, but it's not in the top half of the body. It's in the chest. When we come right back here, the battery spot is in the chest. There's also in the neck places to hook up, places to connect in the head, places that Taggart people. He used an endo that he used an endo that he received at the same time that he received the Jackie box. So okay, Smiley, we're about to cook again. Okay, so we're gonna go to the man in room 1280 at the end of it, whenever Father Blythe is taking Afton out of the Heracles Hospital, and he's taking him to the man, I just sit here and sit with chat. We don't even argue with ChatGPT no more. Whenever he's taking Afton out of Heracles Hospital into the Fazbear Distribution Center, he notes that while he shows up, there are workers in the van. There are workers with a dirty white work van at the Fazbear Distribution Center. Taggart receives the shipment from Flynn that it's from the that it doesn't say where it's from, but then we know that Flynn goes back to pick it up after Taggart dies. It then kills Flynn, and then it goes on. That truck is the same truck from Man in Room 1280. It's the dirty white work van, and not only is that the same van, wait for it, wait for it, wait, dun 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 dun. It's a white van. And look at that. It is a dirty, light, and I'm going to admit it, it's a light blue work van, but you're going to let me cook on this in a second. It is you can obviously see that this van is 100% dirty. Like this is not like anything wrong with my video output. There's dirt right here. There's dirt right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. There's smudges, smudges, smudges. Now, remind you, this van is back in 1979, which means that the yes, so yes, the Jackie and everything. We go in SOTM to retrieve the mimic and everything else. We know Fazbear would have taken those things. Fazzy and T would have taken those things. It took it to its distribution center, and then from its distribution center, they were sending it out to people. And there were scientists who could measure agony that went to this distribution center and said, "Hey, we want to do experiments. Let me get these items that have the agony measured off." But yeah, see that van. So you're misunderstood on what mixes traps. Mixus doesn't trap the mimic endoskeleton. The Mixus traps the mimic one programming. That's why it has glitch trap. Glitch trap isn't the mimic endoskeleton. Glitch trap is the mimic one programming infected with agony. So even if the Mimic One program gets caught in mixes, that would actually more reaffirm my theory because then that would leave the animatronic without that would leave the endoskeleton without Edwin's consciousness, and that could be why Jake and Andrew's consciousness take over inside of the Stitch Ray. It could also be why the endoskeleton itself is powered down whenever Taggart gets it. Also, you said earlier that the burns came from Secret of the Mimic, but let's go ahead and look at the prankster epilogue real quick. As you can see, I research and use these a lot in my videos. Here we are right here. Holding Eleanor's wrists, Jake loomed over her, his eyes burning with fury. Now, you may take that as symbolic, but let's just keep reading. He leaned over her until her face and torso were covered by his cloak. She twisted and kicked, but he just pressed in closer, eyes blazing with fury, burning into Eleanor until she was still. Now, if this is white hot actual heat that he's actually pressing out on her and he's holding her right against that body, that heat is going to affect the Stitch Wraith's metal as well. And I believe this is why I believe this is the reason it's burned is because Jake in close proximity, Jake burned Eleanor while she was in close proximity to him. Why? Okay, I'm gonna get you again. Why doesn't the Stitch Wraith stretch its limbs? What makes you think it doesn't? So, like, there's actually the part where the Stitch Wraith gets fully compacted. It's the Blackbird epilogue. The Stitch Wraith gets fully well, let's go look at it. Which is before Blackbird. Hold on. It's in the Bunny Call, I believe. No, no, it's not in the Bunny Call. We're in the right place. All right, right here. The figure, speaking of the Stitch Wraith, threw itself into the chute, right? From where he stood on the upper platform, Larson was able to see the endoskeleton of the figure land in the spinning, thrashing heap of metal. Immediately, the parts started to consume the figure as everything churned inside of the compactor. A metal press began shoving its way into the writhing mass of Chuck. So we are absolutely being told that the Stitch Wraith is successfully getting its metal compacted by a metal press. It has this is narration. This isn't a theory. It has been completely compacted. We got some narration between Jake and them. All right, here we go. Larson couldn't move. He was mesmerized by the compacting junk and the inexplicable light rising from it. What was that? He realized he was still aiming at the crumpling, deconstructing Stitch Wraith. The Stitch Wraith is crumpling and deconstructing. He holstered his gun. He saw a faint aurora borealis. This is what I was talking to you about earlier on why agony, whenever it hits the ZPF, it makes it makes light or shadow. Like for instance, we can come back here, right? He heard his dad laugh. He tasted a fresh peanut. Jake is having a good positive memory. And whenever he's having that good positive memory, it's containing the aurora borealis. And then aurora borealis is made out of charged light particles. You got Afton that came up and formed from his agony, healing himself. Where's it at? Also, Andrew suddenly free was sucked away and he vanished. I just want to say right here, we don't know that Andrew was freed. I just want to say that like everybody's like Andrew's gone now, but Andrew was suddenly free from the animatronic. He got sucked away and vanished, but that doesn't mean anything. The trash compactor opened and Larson watched it tip upward and disgorge its flattened mass of broken animatronic and robotic pieces. So it's going to be in the cliffs that it reforms. Transfixed by the strange mass consolidating in front of him, Larson's feet were rooted to the ground. His awareness, however, honed by years of deceptive work, reached out beyond the scrap metal beast. He spotted subtle movement near the trash compactor, a little more than a twitch at first, but then that twitch turned into vibration, and the Stitch Wraith climbed out of the tight wad of trash. The Stitch Wraith reformed its body, fixed itself just like the Mimic can. It can change the shape and move the shapes of its body. And this came out, and then still a little disoriented from the battle and his temporarily compressed state. So this dish rate got compressed. He has the abilities to move his machinery around. So yeah, I absolutely, and I believe that the books, I believe all the books are part of the same continuity, except for the Silver Eyes novel, because Scott Cawthon directly said they're another continuity, um, which is how it works, right? Like that's what a lot of people misunderstand about canon. Canon is like veins that run under the skin. Anything that is an official release is canon. What what changes is the continuity, and that's the only way we have a continuity change for like different universes or something is if either the author states it while he's working or like it's just a completely separate incident. None of that applies to FNAF. Agony and everything else still follows these. So, all right. Well, we got like four people here now, so I just don't want to leave. I think that everything that hasn't been canceled by Scott, like Fazgu and Sea Bonnies, whenever Scott said in the Doco interview he's not following those anymore, I think the things that still remain are still continuity linked to the games and to the games. Yes. As a matter of fact, that will be our last chat GPT topic, and then I really will go. All right, last debate topic. I want to support that all mediums other than the Silver Eyes trilogy are continuity based to the same. Continuity, main continuity. Okay. An authorial admission. That is exactly correct, and that is exactly what makes the Silver Eyes an alternate continuity, is because see this right here, authorial, and I use this phrase or something close to this phrase. I use authoritative law a lot, and that is really, really, really how you define how something is canon. Because it really doesn't matter what's written in the story, right? If Let me give you a hypothetical. If Scott Cawthon came out tomorrow and released a book called FNAF Nightmares in Unicorn Land, it's an official release that's released by Scholastic, and it does, and in no area at all does Scott deny or decline the credibility of this Nightmare of Unicorn book. In the book, he says Freddy Fazbear is a purple bear that can shoot laser beams while he's riding a unicorn. We may know that that's not true, but the only thing that matters is this word right here, right? Another way of saying this is word of God. That is a cliche statement for this. And what that is, if the author says it, he automatically wins. Like, under no situation is there an answer where something in a series is outdone by the author. And I want to be more clear on this is that it's not just what the author says. I'm not even just large teams. I personally know small comic book creators, small book writers, small graphic novel writers whom use continuity editors. I had in one of my videos, I had Greg Cooner come on. He is a professional continuity editor. And like I met these people through my power scaling stuff, through my power scaling, I don't want to say career, my hobby over the years. Um, and so when it comes to us, understanding canon and continuity is completely like understanding a free throw in a basketball game to an NBA player. It's just super simple, right? And then people think that like FNAF has a confusing canon and continuity. And I know this is going to be in a way a red herring and a false dilemma, but they haven't looked at things like Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, which is far more complicated than FNAF. Like FNAF is not that hard to understand. The reason why people don't understand FNAF is that creators aren't putting out the right terminologies. So whenever it comes to so there's a difference in canon and continuity. Authoritative law, as I was speaking of what Scott says, deals specifically with canon. Different continuities, and this is even the reason why different continuities were made, can explore other things that would not necessarily be canon. Um, but that doesn't mean that those things that are not necessarily canon matter to the games. I completely agree with that. But then that's the difference. That's one of the differences between canon and continuity. Continuity, whenever you think of continuity, and this isn't always the case, you're supposed to think about timelines. Like, whenever you hear them say, oh, this place has infinite timelines, this place has parallel universes, those things are typically different continuities. That isn't the case for FNAF World, and we'll go ahead and I'll show that while we're here because in the universe ending, we get told something pretty specific. Right. Come here. Boom. The same Fredbear can't occupy the same space at the same time. This means that this Fredbear that is a representative of the crying child is reflected that this is also the crying child. which means this is the game's continuity, and this is the one that you see in FNAF World, which they're the same space at the same time. Remember, like I said, you look at continuity like timelines. This Fazbear that's made from FNAF World that the player is playing as is the same Fazbear as this one. Because here's the deal, right? If this guy, I'm gonna pick his nose real quick. Hold on, we're gonna pick his nose. Ah, if this guy was not this guy, the universe ending wouldn't happen at all because it wouldn't be the same Fredbear sharing the same time. They would be sharing the same space, but they wouldn't be sharing the same time because they'd be from different timelines. So these two right here have to be. It is what we're gonna go look at. There's an interview. We're not gonna go look at it because I don't want to do all that skipping around. I do have to go, and I have to be gone in 20 minutes since I had to get off like ASAP. I was supposed to do one last thing. My wife just came out and checked on me, so we are gonna end with this, and I'll be back later. Um, these if these two Fredbears were not the same, if this Fredbear is the crying child, this one has to be the same one from the games because if it wasn't, the universe ending would not happen. We this is the origin paradox, and the reason why this is because at some point if you meet yourself, either your origin point, which would actually be this Fredbear on this side because this comes before FNAF World, will never. No, okay, no, I got it backwards. The end point would never come from the origin point because the origin point's now being influenced by the end point because the end point went back and saw him. You're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. No, 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 no. Canon is the biggest thing that matters. Continuity is the one that doesn't matter as much. Canon is the law. Like, canon, what canon means is that if it's created in the canon, that is 100% like absolute law in this series of FNAF. Yeah, let me go ahead and explain this, right? Okay, let's go back. We're going to go back to the Blackbird epilogue. And for the sake of it, let's adapt the argument that these are different, that the books are a different continuity than the games. All right, we're on that same point. If you come here, where he makes the faint Aurora Borealis, we know Jake and Andrew are made of agony because that's what Taggart studied, and then that's what Taggart put into the Stitch Wraith, and then we get Jake and Andrew. So we know that Jake and Andrew are made of agony. We also know that Jake is having a positive memory with his dad, right? So he's freeing him and Andrew. He heard his dad laugh. He tasted a fresh peanut. He felt himself begin to float free again, even as the warm sun buoyed him, right? All of these are in the Aurora Borealis are all examples that positively charged agony, like the things that come from love or hope, they make light, right? Now, the fact that this is canon material, that positive agony makes light. So let's take this out, right? Blackbird, we'll say Blackbird, let's hypothetically say Blackbird never happened, not even in Frights. But the law is still the truth. The law is still true. Let's just say the events of Blackbird never happened. The law that positively charged agony creates light still applies to the games because it's the authoritative law of the universe. And it's whenever the things break this authoritative law that they're breaking canon and then continuities shift. Just like, for instance, right, say the rules, okay, yes and no. No, 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 no. I'm not saying. I was saying that as a hypothetical. The stitch wraith does exist. The stitch wraith is made up of the mimic endo. I was just saying, for the sake of the argument, we can take Fazbear Frights completely out of the situation, and we still know how agony would work because we have the canon law. We know how agony would work in the games because of the law. I was just saying, for the sake of the argument, take out Fazbear Fright. No, Fazbear Frights did happen. I am a Frights gamer. I do believe that the Stitch Wraith is made with the Mimic Dingo. Um, Now you say, do the rules apply to all canons? Yes, but then again, we're going to go back to the word of authoritative law, and then word of God. And what I mean by this is that take popular video game Pokemon. Throughout the canon, fire types are weak to water types. Now, Pokemon can come out with like a spin-off or a side game that may say fire is strong against water. So fire is super effective against water types. Now, if that game is canon, it could have what's known as an inverse specification, or in other words, a specific reasoning within that specific universe as to why fire is stronger than water. That means that that law would not apply to the other universes of Pokemon because of the inverse specification. So really, what it comes down to is yes, all of the rules apply to all of the continuities of the same canon, unless there is a specific reason given that it doesn't. All right, I do have to go. Congratulations to Diablos. I think he's still sitting in the background. Hit me up on Discord, man. I'm gonna get you that $5 Amazon card before the first. Joe won the first one. There's still gonna be two more streams tonight. Don't worry. I still have plans with my family. I'm still going out and doing stuff. So thank you guys so much for coming out and seeing me. Um, and if I don't make the grand prize stream, I'm gonna figure it out and we're gonna find something out because time is flying faster than like a normal day today. But I give you my word, everything's going to be figured out. We're going to get you guys all taken care of. I appreciate you coming out. Have a great day.